The transport ship Times, stellar convergence Times, hummed through hyperspace, carrying its precious cargo of new students to the most prestigious institution in known space, the Galactic Academy of Advanced Sciences. Among the hundreds of young beings from dozens of species, one figure sat quietly in the back corner, drawing no attention to herself. Maya Chen appeared unremarkable by galactic standards. Her plain brown hair was tied back in a simple ponytail, and her dark eyes seemed to take in everything while revealing nothing. She wore the standard-issue academy uniform like everyone else, the silver and blue fabric marking her as a first-year student. To the casual observer, she was just another human hopeful, one of the few her species had managed to send to the academy in recent years. The other passengers were far more impressive. There was Zixthilla, a crystalline being from the Silicon worlds whose body reflected light in mesmerizing patterns. Her species had invented faster-than-light communication 3,000 years ago. Near the front sat Chromach, a massive reptilian from the warrior clans of Drax Prime, whose people had conquered half a sector through superior military tactics and unbreakable honor codes. "Look at all these primitives," whispered Veltar, a tall, elegant figure with silver skin and elongated features. The Velnari were known throughout the galaxy as master engineers and architects. Their cities floated in perfect harmony above gas giants, defying physics with their advanced technology, especially that human. "I heard their species only achieved spaceflight 500 years ago. What could they possibly teach us at the academy?" His companion, another Velnari named Silwen, nodded in agreement. "The acceptance committee must be lowering standards. Humans barely understand quantum mechanics. They still use combustion engines on some of their worlds." Maya heard every word but kept her expression neutral. She'd grown used to such comments during her journey to the academy. Humanity was indeed considered one of the younger and less advanced species in the Galactic Federation. They had no great achievements in science, no magnificent cities, no legendary warriors. They were simply adequate. The transport shuddered slightly as it dropped out of hyperspace. Through the massive viewport, the academy came into view, and even the most jaded students gasped in wonder. The station was enormous, a perfect sphere of gleaming metal and crystal that rivaled small moons in size. Docking arms extended like the petals of a flower, each one capable of accommodating ships from hundreds of different worlds. As they approached, Maya studied the structure with professional interest. The academy had been built by the combined efforts of 17 different species, each contributing their greatest technological achievements. The result was a marvel of engineering that served as both a school and a symbol of galactic cooperation. "Attention passengers," came the pilot's voice over the intercom. "We are beginning our final approach to the Galactic Academy. Please prepare for docking procedures. New students should report to Orientation Hall 7 immediately upon disembarkation. Welcome to your new home." The docking process took nearly an hour. The Academy's internal traffic control system guided them through a maze of other ships, from tiny single-person craft to massive cargo vessels bringing supplies from across the galaxy. Maya watched it all with the same calm attention she'd maintained throughout the journey. When the airlocks finally sealed and the all-clear signal chimed, students began filing out eagerly. Maya waited until most had left, before making her way to the exit. She carried only a small bag containing a few personal items and her acceptance documents. The Academy's interior was even more impressive than its exterior. The main corridor they entered was wide enough to accommodate the largest species in the Federation, with ceiling heights that disappeared into misty distance. Holographic guides floated throughout the space, providing directions in hundreds of languages simultaneously. Maya followed the crowd toward Orientation Hall 7, noting the defensive positions, emergency exits, and security checkpoints they passed. Old habits died hard, even in a place of learning. The Orientation Hall was a vast amphitheater that could hold thousands of beings comfortably. Students found seats appropriate to their species' requirements. Some needed water-filled tanks, others required specific atmospheric conditions, and a few existed as pure energy contained within special chambers. Maya found a seat in the human section, which was notably smaller than most others. Only about 50 humans had been accepted this term, compared to hundreds from more established species. She recognized a few faces from the transport but didn't attempt conversation. The lights dimmed and a figure appeared on the central stage. Dean Morgith was a legend throughout the galaxy, a being whose species had transcended physical form millennia ago but chose to maintain a shimmering, vaguely humanoid appearance for the comfort of others. When he spoke, his voice resonated directly in the minds of every student present. Welcome, young scholars, to the Galactic Academy of Advanced Sciences. You represent the finest minds of your respective species, chosen from billions of applicants across known space. Here, you will learn not just the sciences, but the arts of diplomacy, strategy, and cooperation that hold our galaxy together. The dean's form shifted as he gestured to holographic displays showing the Academy's various departments. You will study theoretical physics with professors who helped design the first hyperdrive. You will learn xenobiology from beings who have explored the deepest reaches of space. You will practice diplomacy with former ambassadors who prevented galactic wars. Maya listened attentively while continuing to observe her surroundings. She noted the positioning of security personnel, the locations of communication arrays, and the subtle energy shields that protected the dean. Everything about the academy spoke of advanced civilization and peaceful cooperation. Your dormitory assignments and class schedules have been transmitted to your personal devices, the dean continued. Classes begin tomorrow. Remember, you are here not just to learn, but to forge the bonds that will shape the future of galactic civilization. Dismissed. As students began to disperse, chattering excitedly in dozens of languages, Maya checked her assignment. Dormitory Block 7, Room 247. She had drawn a single occupancy room, which suited her perfectly. The dormitory sections were arranged by species compatibility, taking into account environmental needs and biological requirements. The human section was modest but comfortable, with rooms designed to Earth-standard gravity and atmosphere. Maya's room was small but functional. A bed, desk, storage unit, and a small viewport showing the Academy's outer ring. She unpacked her few belongings methodically, placing them with military precision. A photo of her family went on the desk. Her cover story included loving parents and a younger brother back on Earth. Her communication device chimed with incoming messages, class assignments, dining hall schedules, recreational facility hours, and dozens of social invitations from other students. Maya skimmed them quickly, noting which species were reaching out and which were maintaining their distance. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. She opened it to find a young woman about her own age, with the distinctive pointed ears and silver hair of the Altarian species. Altarians were known for their natural empathy and diplomatic skills. Hello, I'm Lina Ra from next door. I thought I'd introduce myself since we'll be neighbors for the next 4 years. The girl's smile was warm and genuine. I don't think I've met many humans before. Your species is fascinating, so young but so determined. I'm Maya, she replied with a carefully practiced smile. Nice to meet you. Are you studying diplomacy? Xenosociology, actually, with a minor in conflict resolution. What about you? Maya had rehearsed this answer countless times. Theoretical physics and engineering. I'm hoping to work on propulsion systems someday. Linara's eyes lit up. That's wonderful. My roommate is studying similar subjects. You should meet her. She's from the Quellian Collective. They're amazing with quantum calculations. They chatted for a few more minutes before Linara excused herself to unpack. Maya closed the door and allowed herself a small smile. The cover was holding perfectly. To everyone around her, she was exactly what she appeared to be. An ambitious young human, hoping to make her mark at the galaxy's most prestigious academy. The next morning brought Maya's first classes. She attended advanced quantum mechanics with Professor Zendoth, a being of pure mathematical energy who existed only in specially designed containment fields. The class was challenging even for the Academy's standards, dealing with concepts that pushed the boundaries of known physics. Maya participated enough to avoid standing out but not enough to draw attention to her true knowledge level. She asked appropriate questions and gave adequate answers, maintaining the facade of a talented but not exceptional student. Her second class was Galactic History, with Professor Dalwin, an ancient keeper whose species maintained the collective memory of galactic civilization. The professor's lectures were renowned for their depth and accuracy, drawn from first-hand observations spanning millions of years. Today we discuss the Great Silence, Professor Dalwin began, her crystalline form pulsing with soft light. Approximately 50,000 years ago, a species known only as the Architects simply vanished from known space. They left behind technological marvels that we still cannot fully comprehend, including the quantum resonance networks that enable our faster-than-light communication. Maya took careful notes, though she was already familiar with the material. The architects were a fascinating mystery that had puzzled scholars for millennia. Some theorized they had transcended to a higher dimension. Others believed they had been destroyed by some unknown catastrophe. What makes the architects particularly intriguing, the professor continued, is that they seem to possess knowledge far beyond what their apparent age as a species should have allowed. They mastered technologies in mere centuries that took other species millennia to develop. It suggests either remarkable natural ability or assistance from some unknown source. The lecture continued for 2 hours, covering various theories about the architect's disappearance. Maya noticed that several of her classmates seemed bored by the ancient history, more interested in practical applications than theoretical mysteries. After classes, Maya made her way to the Academy's vast library complex. The repository contained the collected knowledge of hundreds of species spanning millions of years of galactic history. It was said that every major discovery, every significant event, every important treaty, was recorded somewhere within its quantum storage matrices. She found a quiet study alcove and began researching current galactic politics. The Federation was stable but faced several ongoing challenges. Resource disputes in the Outer Rim, the mysterious disappearances of ships near the galactic core, and growing tensions with the few species that remained outside the Federation's influence. "Studying already?" came a voice behind her. Maya turned to see Veltar, the arrogant Velnari from the transport. He was accompanied by 2 other students she didn't recognize, a tall, insectoid being, and something that looked like a walking plant. "Just catching up on current events," Maya replied neutrally. "How admirable, though I doubt there's much in there that would interest a human. Most of it deals with technologies and concepts beyond your species' current understanding." Veltar's tone was polite, but condescending. Maya felt a familiar surge of irritation but kept her expression calm. "You'd be surprised what we can understand when given the chance. Perhaps. Though understanding and implementation are very different things. The Velnari have been working on dimensional phase technology for 3,000 years. What has your species contributed to galactic knowledge in the same time frame?" It was a fair question from his perspective. Humanity's official contributions to galactic science were indeed minimal compared to more established species. They had some talent for improvisation and adaptation, but little in the way of groundbreaking discoveries or revolutionary technologies. "We're still finding our place in the galaxy," Maya said diplomatically. "Every species has its own strengths." Veltar nodded as if he'd expected such a response. "Indeed, I'm sure humans will find some niche eventually. Perhaps as laborers or basic technicians. Not everyone can be explorers of the infinite." After they left, Maya returned to her research with renewed focus. She pulled up files on Velnari technology and their dimensional phase research. It was impressive work, though she could see several approaches they hadn't considered. The mathematics were elegant but incomplete in subtle ways. She made no notes, trusting to her perfect memory instead. There would be time later to consider what she'd learned, when she was safely alone and could drop the pretense of being just another student. The dining hall that evening was a spectacular display of galactic diversity. Thousands of students from hundreds of species gathered to share meals appropriate to their biological requirements. The hall's environmental systems created dozens of microclimates to accommodate different atmospheric needs. Maya selected items from the human section of the vast buffet and found a seat at one of the many communal tables. She was joined by several other first-year students, including Linara and a few humans from her transport. "Can you believe we're actually here?" said Marcus, a young man from the Earth colony of New Geneva. "I never thought I'd even see the Academy, let alone study here. My whole family pitched in to help with the application fees," added Sarah, another human student. "The travel costs alone were more than my parents make in a year." Maya listened to their excitement and nervousness with genuine interest. For them, this truly was the opportunity of a lifetime. They came from a species still struggling to establish itself among the galactic community, and their presence at the Academy represented hope for humanity's future. "What do you think, Maya?" Linara asked. "Are you nervous about tomorrow's advanced classes?" "A little," Maya admitted, though not for the reasons they might expect. Her challenge wouldn't be understanding the material, but maintaining her cover while surrounded by some of the most brilliant minds in the galaxy. As the evening progressed, she found herself genuinely enjoying the conversation. These young beings, despite their diverse origins, shared common dreams and fears. They worried about their studies, missed their families, and wondered if they would live up to the Academy's standards. Later that night, alone in her room, Maya stood at her viewport and gazed out at the stars. Somewhere among those points of light was humanity's small corner of the galaxy. A handful of worlds struggling to make their mark on a universe filled with ancient civilizations and technologies beyond their comprehension. At least, that's what everyone believed. Maya smiled in the darkness, thinking of the secret she carried. Tomorrow would bring new challenges as she continued her mission at the academy. She would learn, observe, and prepare for what was to come. The galaxy thought it knew humanity's place in the cosmic order. They had no idea how wrong they were. 3 weeks into her studies at the academy, Maya had settled into a careful routine. She maintained above-average grades without excelling too dramatically, participated in study groups without dominating discussions, and cultivated friendships without revealing too much about herself. To all observers, she was progressing exactly as expected for a bright human student. The morning brought her advanced xenobiology class with Dr. Kethara, a renowned researcher whose 6 arms allowed her to manipulate complex holographic models with incredible precision. Today's topic was the biological adaptations that enabled different species to survive in extreme environments. Consider the void walkers of the Helix Nebula, Dr. Kethara explained, her chitinous fingers dancing through a 3-dimensional display of an ethereal, translucent being. They exist in the vacuum of space itself, feeding on cosmic radiation and reproducing through quantum entanglement. Their physiology defies every conventional understanding of biology. Maya watched the presentation with genuine interest. The Voidwalkers were among the galaxy's most mysterious species, rarely interacting with other forms of life. Their few communications with the Federation had been through mathematical concepts transmitted across subspace. Can anyone tell me how they might have evolved such characteristics? The professor asked. Several tentacles shot up immediately. Dr. Kethara pointed to Zyphlon, a gaseous being contained within a specially designed atmospheric suit. Perhaps they evolved in a region where traditional matter was scarce, forcing them to adapt to utilize energy directly. Zyphlon suggested, his translated voice carrying a musical quality. A reasonable hypothesis, the professor acknowledged. However, our limited studies suggest their evolution was far more rapid than environmental pressure alone could account for. They appear to have developed these traits in mere millennia, rather than millions of years. Maya raised her hand for the first time in the class. Could they have been artificially enhanced? Perhaps by another species or through contact with ancient technology? Dr. Kethara's compound eyes focused on her with sudden interest. Elaborate on that theory, Miss Chen. Well, we know the galaxy has seen several advanced civilizations rise and fall throughout history. The architects left behind technologies we still don't understand. Maybe the Voidwalkers encountered something that accelerated their evolution. Maya kept her tone casual, as if the idea had just occurred to her. Fascinating proposition, the professor mused. It would explain the rapid development and the seemingly impossible biological traits. However, it raises the question. Why would an advanced species choose to modify the Voidwalkers, specifically? What purpose would such beings serve? The class erupted in discussion as students debated the possibility. Maya sat back, satisfied that she'd contributed without revealing any special knowledge. The truth about the Voidwalkers was far more complex than these students could imagine, but that wasn't information she could share. After class, she was approached by Zixthela, the crystalline student from the Silicon Worlds. Her faceted body caught the Academy's artificial light and scattered it in rainbow patterns across the corridor walls. Your theory about artificial enhancement was intriguing, Zixthela said, her voice resonating like wind chimes. My people have long wondered about the rapid evolution of certain species. We have records of similar phenomena occurring throughout galactic history. Really? Maya asked, genuinely curious. The Silicon Worlds were among the oldest civilizations in the Federation, with records spanning hundreds of thousands of years. Indeed, every 40 to 50,000 years, we observe periods of what we call evolutionary acceleration among various species. Beings develop capabilities that should take millions of years to evolve naturally. Most scholars dismiss it as coincidence or observational error. Maya filed this information away for later consideration. What do your people think causes it? There are theories. Some believe it's the result of contact with technologies left behind by vanished civilizations. Others suggest the involvement of species that prefer to remain hidden. guiding development from the shadows. Zeke's crystalline form seemed to dim slightly. A few even propose that certain species are far older and more advanced than they appear, secretly influencing galactic evolution for their own purposes. The conversation was interrupted by an announcement echoing through the Academy's corridors. "Attention all students. Please report to your designated emergency stations. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." Maya's casual demeanor evaporated instantly, replaced by the alertness of a trained operative. She analyzed the announcement's tone, the pattern of emergency lighting that had activated, and the reactions of students around her. Most were confused and concerned but not panicked. This suggested a serious situation but not an immediate physical threat to the Academy itself. Faculty members were moving through the corridors with purposeful efficiency, guiding students to their assigned positions. "What do you think it could be?" Zixthilla asked as they followed the crowd toward Emergency Station 7. "Unknown," Maya replied, though her mind was already running through possibilities. Pirate attack, system failure, political crisis, or perhaps something related to her own mission. She'd been expecting complications eventually. The emergency station was a vast chamber designed to accommodate thousands of beings in crisis conditions. Students filed in, according to species compatibility, with environmental controls adjusting to meet everyone's needs simultaneously. Dean Morgoth's shimmering form appeared on a central platform, his presence immediately commanding attention from the assembled crowd. Students, faculty, and staff. His voice resonated in their minds. "I must inform you of a developing situation that requires the Academy's immediate attention. Approximately 1 hour ago, we received a distress signal from the research vessel times Infinite Curiosity times in the Proxima Drift sector. Holographic displays materialized throughout the chamber, showing a star map with the vessel's last known position highlighted in pulsing red. The Times Infinite Curiosity Times was conducting deep space archaeological research under the guidance of Professor Velthos and his team. Their final transmission indicated they had discovered something of significant importance before communications were abruptly terminated. Maya studied the displayed coordinates with professional interest. The Proxima Drift was a region of space known for its gravitational anomalies and ancient debris fields. Several expeditions had been lost there over the centuries. "Rescue operations are already underway," the dean continued, "but we face unique challenges. The region's gravitational distortions make conventional faster-than-light travel impossible. Any rescue mission must approach through normal space, significantly extending response times." Murmurs spread through the assembled crowd as students discussed the implications. Maya noticed that several faculty members were conferring quietly among themselves, their expressions grave. However, the dean's mental voice grew stronger. "This situation also presents an opportunity for advanced learning. The Academy has decided to involve senior students in the rescue planning process. This will be a practical application of your studies in crisis management, xenotechnology, and cooperative problem-solving." The announcement shifted the mood from concern to excitement. Students began volunteering immediately, eager to participate in a real galactic emergency rather than simulated exercises. "Volunteers will be organized into multidisciplinary teams," the dean explained. "Each team will propose solutions to different aspects of the rescue operation. Navigation through gravitational anomalies, long-range communication in distorted space, life support for unknown survivors, and analysis of potential threats in the region." Maya weighed her options carefully. Participating would provide valuable intelligence about Academy capabilities and current galactic technology. It would also allow her to demonstrate competence without revealing her true abilities. However, it would also put her under closer scrutiny from faculty members. She raised her hand along with hundreds of other students. The selection process took several hours. Faculty members interviewed volunteers, assessing their skills and areas of expertise. Maya found herself assigned to Team 7, focusing on communication challenges. Her teammates included Linara for diplomatic protocols, a Velnari engineering student named Tolven, and surprisingly, Veltar, the arrogant student who had dismissed human capabilities weeks earlier. "Wonderful," Veltar muttered when he saw the team composition. "I suppose they're trying to demonstrate that all species can contribute equally." "How?" "Egalitarian. Maybe you'll be surprised," Maya replied mildly. Their first meeting took place in one of the Academy's collaborative workspaces, rooms equipped with advanced holographic displays and quantum computation matrices. The chamber could simulate any environment, and provide access to vast databases of scientific knowledge. Our task is to establish communication with the time's infinite curiosity times despite the gravitational interference in the Proxima drift. Linera began, reviewing their assignment parameters. Standard subspace transmission is impossible due to space-time distortions. Tolvin activated a holographic display showing the region's gravitational topology. The distortions follow a pattern based on remnant gravitational waves from an ancient stellar collision. If we could map the interference precisely, we might find transmission windows. That would require incredibly complex calculations, Veltar pointed out. The variables change constantly, as gravitational waves interact with local stellar masses. Maya studied the display thoughtfully. What if we don't try to predict the windows but instead adapt our transmission method to work with the distortions? Explain, Linera requested, her empathic abilities detecting Maya's growing confidence. Instead of fighting the gravitational interference, we use it. Quantum entanglement communication isn't affected by gravitational distortions the same way subspace transmissions are. If we could establish entangled particles with the rescue ship before it enters the drift, communication would remain instantaneous, regardless of local space-time conditions. Veltar's expression shifted from dismissive to thoughtful. The energy requirements would be enormous, and you'd need to maintain quantum coherence across vast distances while the particles are subjected to gravitational stress. Not necessarily, Maya replied, warming to the subject. Recent advances in quantum field stabilization have reduced the energy requirements significantly. The Heisenberg compensators used in modern transporters use similar principles. She moved to the holographic controls and began constructing a three-dimensional model of her proposed system. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency. Manipulating complex equations and energy flow diagrams, you'd need a quantum resonance amplifier array, Tolvin observed, studying her design. The power coupling alone would require. Wait. How did you calculate these field harmonics? Maya paused, realizing she'd been working at a level far beyond what a first-year human student should possess. The mathematics she'd used were postgraduate level at minimum, dealing with concepts that shouldn't be familiar to her. I've been reading ahead, she said carefully. Quantum mechanics has always fascinated me. Linera was watching her with obvious curiosity. As an empath, she was probably detecting emotional undercurrents that Maya preferred to keep hidden. This is remarkable work, Linera said slowly. The theoretical framework is incredibly sophisticated. Where exactly did you encounter these particular equations? Before Maya could respond, the workspace's communication system activated. Dean Morgeth's presence filled the room. His attention focused entirely on their team. Team 7, your preliminary proposal has attracted considerable attention from the faculty. His mental voice carried notes of surprise and interest. Dr. Yuen Tal from the Department of Advanced Physics would like to review your quantum entanglement communication system immediately. Veltar stared at Maya with a completely new expression. You designed something that impressed Dr. Yuen Tal? She's one of the leading experts on quantum field theory in the galaxy. Her species invented half the principles you're using. Maya felt a chill of concern. She'd let herself get too involved in the problem, revealing knowledge that her cover identity shouldn't possess. Dr. Yuen Tal was indeed renowned throughout galactic scientific circles. If she examined Maya's work too closely, uncomfortable questions would inevitably arise. I'm sure it's not as impressive as it seems, Maya said, trying to downplay her achievement. I probably made basic errors that need correction. On the contrary, came a new voice from the workspace entrance. Dr. Yuen Tal herself had arrived, her tall, graceful form moving with the fluid motions characteristic of her aquatic species. Your mathematics are not only correct but elegantly optimized. You've solved problems that have puzzled our research teams for months. The professor's large, dark eyes focused on Maya with uncomfortable intensity. Tell me, Miss Chen, where exactly did you study quantum field harmonics? Your application of nonlinear resonance equations suggests advanced training. Maya felt the weight of scrutiny from everyone in the room. Her teammates were looking at her with mixtures of surprise, admiration, and growing suspicion. She needed to find a way to explain her knowledge without breaking her cover. I had an excellent physics teacher in secondary school, she said, maintaining her calm exterior. Professor Martinez at New Geneva Technical Institute. He encouraged independent study in advanced topics. Dr. Yuen Tal's expression suggested she wasn't entirely convinced. Perhaps we should contact Professor Martinez to discuss his teaching methods. Such advanced understanding is rarely achieved through independent study alone. Unfortunately, Professor Martinez died in a transport accident 2 years ago. Maya replied smoothly, having anticipated such inquiries. Her cover identity had been meticulously constructed to account for verification attempts. How tragic, the professor murmured, though her suspicious expression didn't change. In any case, your design shows remarkable promise. With a few modifications, it could serve as the basis for our actual rescue communication system. Over the following hours, Maya found herself working directly with Dr. Yuental and several other faculty members to refine the quantum entanglement array. She had to carefully moderate her contributions, showing enough knowledge to maintain credibility while avoiding demonstrations of expertise that would be impossible for her supposed background. It was exhausting work, requiring constant mental calculation to determine what Maya Chen, first-year human student, should and shouldn't know. Several times she caught herself about to suggest solutions that would have revealed far too much about her true capabilities. The field stabilization matrix needs adjustment, Dr. Yuental observed, manipulating the holographic display. The harmonic resonance is creating interference patterns that could disrupt quantum coherence. Maya saw the problem immediately but forced herself to study the display for several minutes before responding. Could we offset the interference by adjusting the phase variance in the primary emitters? Show me, the professor instructed. Maya made the necessary modifications with careful deliberation, implementing the solution much more slowly than her instincts demanded. The result was exactly what she'd envisioned, a stable communication array capable of maintaining quantum entanglement across vast distances. Excellent, Dr. Yuental said, but her tone remained thoughtful. Your intuitive understanding of quantum mechanics is quite remarkable for someone with limited formal training. Before Maya could respond, urgent chimes echoed through the workspace. Emergency communications were incoming from the rescue fleet. Dean Morgeth's presence immediately manifested in the room. All teams report to Emergency Command Center immediately. We have received new information about the Time's infinite curiosity time situation that changes everything. As they hurried through the Academy's corridors, Maya noticed increased security presence and faculty members engaging in intense discussions. Whatever new development had occurred, it was significant enough to alter the entire Academy's response. The Emergency Command Center was a vast chamber filled with holographic displays showing the current rescue operation. Multiple Federation ships were visible on tactical screens, approaching the Proxima Drift through normal space. The situation has become far more complex, Dean Morgeth announced to the assembled students and faculty. Our long-range sensors have detected artificial structures within the Proxima Drift. The Time's infinite curiosity times didn't simply discover ancient artifacts. They found an active installation of unknown origin. Gasps and excited murmurs filled the chamber. Active installations from vanished civilizations were incredibly rare and valuable beyond measure. Furthermore, the dean continued, energy readings suggest the installation is not merely functional but actively defending itself. The Time's infinite curiosity asterisk's disappearance may not have been accidental. Maya felt her pulse quicken, though not from excitement like her fellow students. Active defensive systems from ancient civilizations represented potential threats far beyond what the Academy might be prepared to handle. All student rescue planning operations are hereby suspended, the dean announced. This situation now requires specialized military and archaeological expertise. Students are to return to normal schedules while the Academy coordinates with Federation authorities. As the crowd began to disperse, Maya lingered near the tactical displays, studying what information was available about the mysterious installation. The energy signatures were unlike anything in Federation databases, showing characteristics that seemed to defy known physics. Fascinating, isn't it? Came a voice beside her. Maya turned to find Dr. Yuental studying the same displays with obvious scientific excitement. The power generation alone appears to violate several conservation laws, the professor continued. Whatever species built this possessed technology far in advance of our current understanding. Do you think they're still alive? Maya asked carefully. Unknown, but someone or something activated those defensive systems when the Time's infinite curiosity times approached. Whether it's the original builders, their automated systems, or something else entirely. Dr. Yuental's voice trailed off as new data appeared on the displays. Long-range sensor readings showed the installation was massive, possibly the size of a small moon. Its geometric structure suggested purpose and intelligence, but followed design principles unlike anything in Federation archives. Miss Chen, Dr. Yuental said suddenly, your work on the quantum communication array was truly exceptional. I'd like to discuss the possibility of transferring you to advanced courses more suited to your apparent abilities. Maya felt alarm bells ringing in her mind. Advancement to higher levels would mean increased scrutiny, more challenging explanations for her knowledge, and closer contact with faculty who might see through her cover. I appreciate the offer, Professor, but I think I should master the fundamentals before advancing. I wouldn't want to get in over my head. Dr. Yuental studied her for a long moment. Perhaps, but talent such as yours shouldn't be wasted on elementary coursework. Think about it. As Maya walked back to her dormitory, her mind raced with implications. The discovery in the Proxima Drift was significant, but it also represented a potential complication for her mission. Ancient installations with active defenses suggested technologies that could alter the galactic balance of power. More immediately, her performance during the rescue planning had drawn unwanted attention. Dr. Yuental was clearly suspicious, and advancement to higher courses would make maintaining her cover increasingly difficult. Maya reached her room and activated privacy screens before allowing herself to truly consider the situation. She'd come to the academy to observe and learn, preparing for humanity's eventual emergence as a galactic power. But events were moving faster than anyone had anticipated. The installation in the Proxima Drift wasn't just an archaeological curiosity. If her suspicions were correct, it represented technology that could fundamentally change the nature of galactic civilization, and she was one of the few beings in the galaxy who might understand what they'd really found. The question was whether she could continue her mission while navigating the increasing attention her abilities had attracted. Maya Chen, unremarkable human student, was supposed to blend in seamlessly. Instead, she was becoming exactly what she'd tried to avoid, the center of attention in the galaxy's most prestigious academy. 2 months had passed since the incident at Proxima Drift, and Maya had successfully deflected most of Dr. Yuental's attempts to advance her coursework. She maintained her careful balance of competence without excellence, contributing just enough to avoid suspicion while staying below the threshold that would trigger deeper investigation. The academy had settled back into its normal rhythm, though rumors about the mysterious installation continued to circulate among students and faculty. Official reports claimed the rescue mission had been successful, with the Times Infinite Curiosity * crew recovered safely. However, the installation itself remained classified at the highest levels of Federation security. Maya knew better than to probe too deeply into classified information. Her mission required patience and careful observation, not reckless intelligence gathering that might compromise her position. She was walking to her advanced stellar cartography class when emergency alarms began sounding throughout the academy. These weren't the measured tones of a drill or even the urgent signals they'd heard during the rescue planning exercise. This was the shrieking wail of imminent danger. Students and faculty immediately moved toward emergency stations, but before they could reach designated areas, Dean Morgeth's presence filled every corridor simultaneously. All personnel remained calm and proceed to emergency positions immediately. We are under attack. This is not a drill. Academy defensive systems are engaging unknown vessels. Maya felt her training take over as adrenaline flooded her system. While students around her moved with confused urgency, she analyzed the situation with professional detachment. The Academy's shields were powering up. She could hear the characteristic hum of massive energy barriers activating. Point defense systems were coming online, their targeting sensors sweeping space around the station. Through corridor viewports, she glimpsed flashes of energy in the darkness beyond. Whatever was attacking the Academy possessed significant firepower. Maya, Linera appeared beside her, the young Altarian's empathic abilities clearly overwhelmed by the fear and excitement radiating from thousands of beings. What do you think is happening? Unknown hostiles, Maya replied, continuing toward Emergency Station 7. Stay calm and follow protocols. But even as she spoke, Maya was making tactical assessments that no first-year student should be capable of. The attack patterns suggested multiple vessels using coordinated strikes against the Academy's defensive grid. Their weapons signatures were unusual, not matching any known technology in Federation databases. The emergency station was chaotic as thousands of beings sought shelter. Environmental systems struggled to maintain life support for the diverse requirements of so many species in one location. Maya found herself helping organize the crowd, her natural command presence asserting itself despite her efforts to remain inconspicuous. "Everyone needs to stay calm," she called out to a group of panicked first-year students. "The Academy's defenses are among the strongest in the galaxy. We're safe here." Dean Morgoth's shimmering form appeared on the central platform. Though his usual perfect composure seemed strained, "The Academy is under assault by vessels of unknown origin," he announced. "Their technology appears to be based on principles discovered at the Proxima Drift installation. Federation security forces are responding, but we must prepare for the possibility that Academy defenses may be compromised." Murmurs of fear rippled through the assembled crowd. If beings with access to ancient super technology were attacking, the Academy's conventional defenses might indeed prove inadequate. "All senior students with relevant expertise are requested to volunteer for emergency technical support," the dean continued. "We need assistance with shield harmonics, weapons targeting, and structural integrity systems." Maya felt a familiar internal conflict. Her knowledge could significantly assist the Academy's defense, but using it would inevitably reveal capabilities far beyond her supposed background. However, if the Academy fell to these attackers, her mission would become irrelevant anyway. She raised her hand along with several dozen other volunteers. The selection process was rapid but thorough. Faculty members quickly assessed each volunteer's skills and assigned them to appropriate teams. Maya found herself directed to the Academy's primary shield control center, where Professor Koldar was coordinating defensive systems. Professor Koldar was a massive being whose crystalline carapace sparkled with embedded quantum processors. His species, the geometric minds, thought in pure mathematics and were considered the galaxy's premier experts in energy field dynamics. "You are the human student who designed the quantum communication array," he said as Maya entered the control center. His voice resonated like grinding stone. "Dr. Yuan Tal recommended you for shield harmonics analysis." Maya nodded, studying the displays showing the Academy's defensive status. The shields were holding but showing stress patterns where enemy weapons were concentrating fire. The attackers were systematically probing for weaknesses with methodical precision. Their weapons appeared to destabilize molecular bonds at the quantum level, Professor Koldar explained. "Each impact creates cascade failures in our shield matrix. We need to modify the harmonic frequency to compensate." Maya analyzed the weapon signatures with growing recognition. She'd seen similar technology before, though in a very different context. The quantum destabilization effects were characteristic of weapons based on architect technology, the same vanished civilization that had left installations throughout the galaxy. "The cascade failures follow a mathematical progression," she observed, indicating specific data streams. "If we can predict the destabilization pattern, we could adjust shield harmonics to match." "Show me," the professor commanded. Maya moved to the control interface with practiced efficiency. Her hands flowed across the quantum calculation matrices, inputting equations that accounted for the weapon's destabilization effects. The mathematics were incredibly complex, requiring simultaneous analysis of thousands of variables. "Remarkable," Professor Koldar muttered as Maya's calculations took shape. "Your mathematical framework accounts for quantum uncertainty principles I hadn't considered. How did you develop this approach?" Maya felt sweat beading on her forehead as she worked. She was operating at the edge of her cover identity's credibility, demonstrating knowledge that few beings in the galaxy possessed. "Just mathematical intuition," she replied, continuing to refine the shield harmonics. The patterns seemed familiar from theoretical studies. The new shield configuration engaged just as another wave of enemy fire struck the Academy. Instead of creating cascade failures, the weapon's energy was absorbed and redistributed through the defensive matrix. "Impossible," Professor Koldar breathed, studying the readouts. "Your modifications shouldn't work according to standard field theory. Yet they're perfectly effective." Before Maya could respond, new alerts cascaded across their displays. The attacking vessels had changed tactics, now employing some form of penetration technology that allowed them to phase through the Academy's shields entirely. "They're inside the defensive perimeter," reported Lieutenant Vex Till, the Academy's senior security officer. Multiple contacts materializing within the station itself. Maya felt a chill of recognition. Phase shift technology that could bypass energy barriers was another characteristic of architect systems. These weren't random pirates or raiders. They were using technology from the same source as the Proxima Drift installation. Emergency lockdown protocols in effect, Dean Morgith announced throughout the academy. All students and non-essential personnel report to secure zones immediately, but Maya was already moving toward the tactical displays, studying the intruders' positions and movement patterns. Her analytical mind processed the data automatically, identifying optimal defensive strategies and vulnerable points in the enemy deployment. "Professor," she said carefully, "their phase shift technology appears to have limited duration. Each materialization point shows energy decay patterns, suggesting they can't maintain quantum coherence indefinitely." Professor Koldar studied the data, Maya indicated. "You're correct. But how did you recognize phase shift limitations so quickly?" Maya realized she'd made another mistake, demonstrating familiarity with advanced concepts that her cover identity shouldn't possess. But the Academy's survival might depend on sharing what she knew. "The energy signatures are similar to theoretical models I've studied," she said, which was technically true. "If we can map their phase shift cycles, we could predict materialization points and coordinate defensive responses." "Do it," the professor commanded. Maya threw herself into the analysis, her mind racing through calculations that pushed the limits of the Academy's quantum processors. The attacking forces were using technology that most Federation species couldn't even comprehend, but she understood its principles with uncomfortable clarity. As she worked, emergency reports flooded in from throughout the Academy. Intruders had materialized in key locations: the main computer core, the power generation facility, and the quantum communication center. They moved with precise knowledge of Academy systems, suggesting extensive intelligence gathering. "They're not here to destroy the Academy," Maya realized suddenly. "They're after something specific." "What makes you say that?" Professor Koldar asked. "Look at their target selection." Maya indicated the tactical display. "Computer core for data extraction, power systems for control, communications to prevent distress calls. This is an acquisition operation, not an attack." Even as she spoke, confirmation arrived from security teams. The intruders weren't engaging in random destruction, but systematically accessing Academy databases and research facilities. But what could they want? Professor Koldar wondered. The Academy's knowledge is extensive, but most of it is already available through Federation channels. Maya's blood ran cold as a terrible possibility occurred to her. What if they weren't after Federation knowledge, but something else entirely? Something hidden within the Academy's vast database networks? "Professor, I need access to the student record system," she said urgently. "That's highly irregular. Student records are confidential." "Please," Maya interrupted. "I think they might be after specific individuals rather than general information." Professor Koldar studied her for a moment, then activated his override codes. Student records appeared on Maya's display, thousands of entries representing beings from across the galaxy. Maya quickly filtered the data, looking for patterns that might attract the attention of beings with access to architect technology. Most student records were unremarkable, standard academic transcripts and background information, but buried within the massive database, she found what she was looking for. Several student records showed anomalies in their background verification, identities that had been carefully constructed but might not withstand detailed analysis by advanced systems. Her own record was among them. "They're looking for infiltrators," Maya said quietly. "Beings whose identities don't match their apparent capabilities." As if summoned by her words, new alerts appeared on their screens. Intruders were moving directly toward the residential sections, following routes that would lead them to specific dormitory blocks, including Block 7, where Maya's room was located. "I have to go," Maya said, moving toward the exit. "Absolutely not," Professor Koldar commanded. "All students are to remain in secure areas." But Maya was already running, her carefully maintained facade finally cracking under the pressure of immediate danger. She moved through the Academy's corridors with fluid precision, avoiding security checkpoints and taking routes that only someone with intimate knowledge of the facility's layout could navigate. She reached Dormitory Block 7 to find emergency lighting and the acrid smell of energy weapon discharge. Security teams were engaged in running firefights with intruders who moved like ghosts through the Academy's defenses. Maya's room had been systematically searched, her few possessions scattered across the floor. But the intruders had found nothing because there was nothing to find. Her real equipment and identity documentation were hidden in places that would require intimate knowledge of human psychology to locate. Maya, Linara's voice called from the corridor. The young Altarian was pressed against a wall, trying to avoid the energy beams flashing through the air. Get to a secure zone, Maya ordered, her voice carrying an authority that made Linara's eyes widen. But I'll be fine. Go. Linara hesitated, her empathic abilities clearly detecting something unusual about Maya's emotional state. But another energy blast sent her scrambling toward safer areas. Maya moved deeper into the combat zone, her training overriding her need to maintain cover. She could see the intruders now. Tall, elegant figures wearing advanced armor that shimmered with phase shift distortions. Their movements were precise and coordinated, indicating military training and enhanced reflexes. But more importantly, she recognized their technology and tactical patterns. These weren't random attackers using stolen architect systems. They were representatives of a species she'd encountered before, in a very different context. The hegemony had found her. Maya reached a junction where Academy security forces had established a defensive position. Lieutenant Vexatil was coordinating the response, her reptilian features grim with determination. "Student Chen, what are you doing here?" the lieutenant demanded. "All civilians should be in secure zones." "I can help," Maya replied, studying the tactical situation. "Their phase shift technology has predictable patterns. If you coordinate your fire with their materialization cycles, you can catch them while they're solid." Lieutenant Vexatil stared at her. How could a first-year student know anything about advanced phase shift tactics? Maya felt the last remnants of her cover identity slipping away. The careful persona she'd maintained for months was crumbling under the pressure of immediate crisis. But the Academy's defenders needed information that only she could provide. "I have extensive knowledge of this technology," she said simply. "Trust me, or watch your people die." Something in her tone convinced the lieutenant. "Show me." Maya accessed a portable tactical display and began mapping the intruders' phase shift cycles. Her analysis was rapid and precise, identifying optimal firing solutions that would catch the attackers during their brief moments of vulnerability. "There," she indicated specific coordinates. "Concentrate fire on those positions at 15-second intervals. They'll materialize at exactly those points." Lieutenant Vexatil relayed the firing solutions to her teams. The coordinated assault caught 3 intruders completely off guard, their advanced armor providing no protection when they were trapped in normal spacetime. "Impossible," one of the captured intruders hissed, his translated voice carrying inhuman harmonics. "You cannot know our patterns." That knowledge was thought lost millennia ago. Maya stepped into view, allowing the intruder to see her clearly for the first time. His reaction was immediate and dramatic, features shifting with what might have been surprise or fear. "The bloodline survives," he whispered. "The architect's children walk among the lesser species." Lieutenant Vexatil turned to Maya with growing suspicion. "What is he talking about? What bloodline?" Before Maya could respond, the Academy's communication systems crackled to life with an external transmission. The voice that emerged was electronically modulated but carried unmistakable authority. "Academy personnel, this is Commodore Thane of the Hegemony Fleet. We have no quarrel with your institution. Release the human known as Maya Chen, and our forces will withdraw immediately." Maya closed her eyes, feeling the weight of inevitability settling over her. Her carefully constructed cover was completely blown, and there was no way to rebuild it. Everyone in the Academy would now know that she was something other than what she appeared. "I don't understand." Linara's voice came from behind her. The young Altarian had returned despite Maya's orders, drawn by emotional currents she couldn't ignore. "Maya, what's happening?" Maya turned to face her friend, knowing that their relationship would never be the same after this moment. "My name is Maya Chen," she said quietly. "But I'm not the person you thought you knew." Dean Morgoth's presence suddenly filled the corridor, his attention focused entirely on Maya. When he spoke, his mental voice carried undertones of authority and knowledge that hadn't been present during his normal Academy addresses. "Perhaps," the Dean said slowly, "it's time for the truth. All of it." Maya felt a mixture of relief and apprehension. The deception was over, but the consequences were just beginning. "My real name is Admiral Maya Chen of the Earth Strategic Defense Corps," she said, her voice carrying new authority. "I'm here on a reconnaissance mission to assess galactic civilization and prepare for humanity's eventual emergence. as a major power. Gasps and shocked exclamations filled the corridor as the implications sank in. Maya continued, knowing there was no point in partial revelations now. Humanity isn't the primitive species the galaxy believes us to be. We've been carefully observing and preparing for centuries, waiting for the right moment to reveal our true capabilities. She gestured toward the captured intruders, but certain parties have been trying to locate and eliminate human operatives before that moment arrives. Lieutenant Vextil was staring at her with a mixture of amazement and professional respect. The tactical knowledge, the advanced mathematics, the intuitive understanding of alien technology, it all makes sense now. Humanity possesses technology derived from the same source as the architect installations. Maya continued. What the galaxy calls ancient mysteries, we call our heritage. The architects didn't disappear. They evolved, transcended, and left their knowledge to their descendants. The captured hegemony agent struggled against his restraints. The lesser species were never meant to achieve such power, he hissed. The old bloodlines must be purified before they contaminate the galaxy. Dean Morgoth's shimmering form moved closer to Maya, and she sensed something profound in his attention. I suspected from your first day here, he said, his mental voice carrying new depths. Your mathematical frameworks, your intuitive leaps, your casual understanding of concepts that should be impossible for your supposed background. All suggested knowledge far beyond human civilization's apparent development. Maya nodded, feeling strangely relieved to finally speak the truth. The Academy was the perfect place for observation and intelligence gathering. I learned about galactic politics, technology, and social structures, while maintaining the fiction that humanity was still struggling to find its place among the stars. But the fiction was never complete, was it? Linara said quietly, her empathic abilities finally making sense of the emotional undercurrents she'd been detecting for months. You genuinely care about the friends you made here, about the Academy itself. Maya looked at her friend with sadness and affection. That part was never fake. Getting to know all of you, learning about your cultures and dreams, it's been the most rewarding part of my mission. So what happens now? Professor Koldar asked, his mathematical mind already processing the implications. If humanity possesses such advanced technology, why maintain the deception? Why not reveal yourselves openly? Maya considered her response carefully. The truth was complex and politically sensitive. But these people deserved honesty, after the deceptions they'd endured. Because the galaxy isn't ready, she said finally. Most species see architect technology as mystical artifacts to be studied and preserved. But it's our birthright. Our inheritance from ancestors who achieved transcendence eons ago. If we revealed that truth tomorrow, how do you think the established powers would react? Badly, Lieutenant Vextil said grimly. There would be wars. Exactly. So we've been preparing, building our strength, and waiting for the right moment to emerge peacefully. Maya gestured toward the captured intruders. But certain factions, like the hegemony, prefer to eliminate potential threats before they become too powerful to control. Dean Morgoth's presence intensified, and Maya sensed a momentous decision being made. Admiral Chen, he said formally, I believe the time for hidden preparation may be ending. The galaxy faces challenges that require all available knowledge and capability. Perhaps it's time for humanity to step out of the shadows. Maya felt a weight of responsibility settling over her. Her mission had been observation and preparation, but circumstances were forcing her hand. The decision about humanity's emergence might be hers to make. The choice isn't mine alone, she said carefully. But you're right about the timing. The discovery at Proxima Drift, the hegemony's aggressive actions, the signs of awakening architect technology throughout the galaxy, events are accelerating beyond anyone's control. She looked around at the faces surrounding her. Beings she'd come to respect and care for during her time at the Academy. They deserved to know what was coming. A new age is beginning, Maya said quietly. The old order that's governed galactic civilization for millennia is about to change forever. And humanity will be at the center of that transformation. The Academy's emergency lighting cast strange shadows as her words echoed through the corridor. Everyone present understood that they were witnessing a moment that would reshape the galaxy's future. Maya Chen, the unremarkable human student, was gone forever. In her place stood Admiral Maya Chen, representative of a species that was about to change everything the galaxy thought it knew about power, knowledge, and the legacy of the stars themselves. The age of secrets was ending. The age of humanity was about to begin.